All right, here we go. So we're talking about triangles, area, perimeter. So each triangle has a couple pieces to it. It has its sides, and then it has its angles, right? And then what you want to take from that, let's make this a little smaller here, is that at some point you're going to have to look for a height. Now, what is the height? Now, you wouldn't take a person and measure them while they're leaning sideways, right? You would want them to stand straight up, and then you want to take their height, right? So basically, you want them to be perpendicular to some sort of base or a floor. So think about a person in a triangle and then try to take their height. Now, in order to do that in a triangle, okay, you want to take a vertex, which is the point that we use to draw the triangle, and you want to draw a line perpendicular to a side. And that's how you'll create your height of a triangle. This here will be your height. Now, wherever your height is drawn to, that's your base. Now, in reality, you have many heights, or let's say 3 heights, because here I could also say this is a height because it's drawn from a vertex to a side. Now that's my base. But generally what we want to do is we want to pick the part of the triangle that's kind of like we're looking at it vertical. So anytime you see a triangle here, you kind of want to use the part that's the bottom. You want to use that as your base. So what we want to do again is take the vertex and draw a perpendicular line that gives us our base. Now what that allows us to do is find the area of a triangle, which we would say is 1/2 base times height, or the one I prefer is the base times height over 2. Now where does that come from? Let's say we took a square, okay? And we want to find the area of a square. And one side was 2 and the other side was 2. We would know the area of this is 4. But if I took a line and made a diagonal and basically split the square into half, what have I created? I've created 2 triangles. And that's basically what you're doing when you find the area of a triangle. You're basically creating like a 4-sided figure, right? And you're saying that, maybe your height, you're taking 2 and 4. You're saying if this is 8, if this 4-sided figure, the area is 8, then if it were a triangle, the area would be 4. It would be half or divided by 2. So when you guys are looking at triangles, first thing you always want to do is you basically want to create or find height. Now, there's 3 different heights that you'll see. One is the one we talked about where it's pretty evident. You have the line to the base, but you have some other triangles where the height is, we'll call it a hidden height, right? So meaning the height isn't right there for you to see. These are 2 hidden height examples. So here's a triangle, and what actually happens is your side of the triangle here actually ends up being your height because it is to the vertex and it is perpendicular to the base. So if you see a triangle like this, you would know that that's your height. So let's say this height here was 5 and this base here was 10. And I ask you, and let's just say, let's also add perimeter in there. Let's say this side is 12. So if I'm looking for area, I could do 2 things. I could do 1/2 base times height. Okay, I could use my formula 1/2 base times height. And I could do 1/2 of 10, 5. And 5 times 5, 25. Now the reason I like this formula better, I try to use this one more often, this base, because essentially you're doing the same thing. When you multiply by half, you're dividing by 2. So I would recommend you guys just using this formula here where it's 10 times 5 and then divide by 2, 50 divided by 2, 25. And if you were finding perimeter is just adding all the sides. So if I ask for perimeter, you're just doing 5 plus 10 plus 12. And that would give us 15. I would do 15 plus 10 plus 2 here. That's kind of how I do my mental math, which would give me 27. That's my perimeter. And I have, now again, that's basically if I took I like to point out again, if I took this shape and made it a rectangle and said, what is the area of this rectangle? You would tell me 5 times 10. And this diagonal cuts it in half. So that's where both these 25s come into play. Another hidden height that you may see is, that's not moving right. Let's try to move this a little bit. Let's just move this up here. Let's just get rid of it. Let's say you have a triangle like this. And problem with this triangle is there's no way for me to draw a line from the vertex perpendicular. Perpendicular meaning 90 degrees. So what I need to do is actually draw another line outside the triangle and extend the base here. And actually, you'll see this imaginary line I've drawn outside the triangle, I can now use as my height. And this here, not this full line, but this line here, whatever the distance of this is, will be my base. So if I had a triangle like this, and actually I don't like that. If I had a triangle like this, and they gave me, let's say 5, let's say 4, maybe 7, told me this was 10 and this was 4, they would have to give me this outside height here of maybe 5 in order for me to find my area. And what I would do is 5 times 4 over 2, 20 over 2, and my area would be 10. Good question you guys might run into is where they'll actually give you a triangle. They'll say AC is 10, and the area of triangle ABC is 25. What is, let's say, BD? And they're going to give you this triangle that kind of looks like this here. They want you to draw a triangle like this here. And they're going to say BD is the height. So in this case, they're giving you the area. So area is base times height over 2. Base times height over 2. That doesn't look good. So they're giving you the area, which is 25. They're telling you, oh, they should have looked like this, A, B, C, D. They're telling you what AC is, which is my base. So they're telling me that's 10. They don't times, they're not telling me what my height is. Go back. They're not telling me what my height is. So in order to solve for this height, basically I'm asking myself, 10 times what number divided by 2 gives me 25? Well, you could use a little bit of algebra and just say, okay, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. This cancels out. 50 is equal to 10 times h is really 10h. Divide by 10, and my height is 5. And that's the same type of triangle we've been using, with the 5 and 10 height with the area of 25. So this is a question where they would give you area. They're giving you area. They're giving you the base, and they're asking you to solve for another point there. Oh,